In this video, I want to break down how to Wkey and fight for beginners. There's going to be a lot of super basic tips in this, which will help you get better. But I will be honest, even if you are not a beginner, there's a lot of very valuable stuff that you can learn from this game. Now, what we're going to do is watch through Harry's gameplay. Now, he is a Polish player. However, this was a game that he played on, not Middle East, on NA. And actually came 23rd in the solo cash cup on NA. So basically, he's playing on like 150, maybe a little bit less ping than that. So nothing he does in this game is like super mechanical or that difficult to learn in terms of actually like building and editing. Straight off the rip, he's at Bumpy Bay, and there's one other player who's contested him here. He did scout him as he was looking through the sky, so he does know that there's someone contesting him here. Now, you basically have two options when you're fighting someone off spawn. You can either get a loot advantage and then push, or you can get like some form of loadout and then go. So in this instance, the guy's nowhere near him. So getting what I mean by an advantage would be you get more loot than him, you land on like a shotgun, a weapon, and then just instantly push, try to get the speed onto them before they've even got a weapon, or you actually get a loadout. So here he manages to find a shotgun, and that's basically the most important part. If you're going to fight off spawn and you've taken a certain period of time, you know, say you've taken like a 30, 60 seconds or whatever before you actually get into the fight, you don't want to push without a shotgun. You can push instantly without a shotgun if you've not managed to get anything yet. Like if you've just got one weapon and then you want to push, that's fine, because there's a high likelihood the other player also won't have any. But if you've given the other player time to actually get loot, you want to spend your time. Next up is how you actually open fights. So here, the vast majority of fights you actually want to open with some sort of advantage. If you just like build at them and get seen, horrible way to start the fight. So this guy opens with a 58 and then a 30. Now this player, it's not great, I'll be honest, but a lot of people would die or not be able to finish the fight quickly in this instance. So he hits him, cracks him here. So he does this, he sprints and then places a ramp and then a cone. So this gives him a couple of options from here. So what he could do is he could run up and then he could edit through the cone, and he's got like a height advantage, so he can look down. You always kind of want to have some sort of height advantage. Or in this instance, if this right wall wasn't here, he could run around this side and get a right hand peek. But basically it just protects from the other player mantling up above him and being basically like above and being in a bad angle. Really well explained, I know. So what he decides to do from here is just sprint, slide, and then takes the shot on the corner there. Now, you might think this is a bad peek, because if you know anything about Fortnite, right-hand peeks are where it's at. Because if you're a character here, the character, as you notice, is slightly to the left of the screen. So you can see the crosshair in the center, the character is to the left. So that means is if you're peeking over a right-hand peek, you have a way better peek. You can actually see way more, and you can shoot them easier. Whereas a left-hand peek is kind of blocked by your body and relatively bad. So you might think the fact that he sprints here and slides on a left-hand peek and shoots him is bad, because he's running into a left-hand peek and the other player has a right-hand peek. So as you can see here, as he's approaching from this way, it's a left-hand peek for him and then a right-hand peek here if this guy was looking. But what actually matters here is peeker's advantage. So because he's running and sprinting, he's moving very quickly. Fortnite is an online game, so he gets what's called peeker's advantage. So despite the fact this is a left-hand peek, because he slides into it, he's still going to be able to see the other player first. Now, I don't want to go through a full explanation of peeker's advantage in this video, but if you're moving fast, like doing a jump shot or doing a sprint slide like this, you will almost definitely still have peeker's advantage. You'll be able to see them before they can see you. And in this instance, of course, this player is not particularly good. So all he does is cone, slides, pop, and he's dead. This next fight's also a little interesting too. He starts off here by trading like 100 tag shots. There's a player there. He hits for 100, and then so does the other player. He tries to like sprint slide around that right corner there, and then basically isn't able to get any damage off, so he ends up healing. Now, because he also has a bad shotgun, he spends his time healing up to 100. The other player is a pump, so like this shotgun, this is an auto shotgun, is kind of 50-50. You can run in people's faces and just shoot, shoot, shoot. So he makes sure he's 200 HP, because you could easily die here. If you have a pump, you don't necessarily have to do that. And he does this setup onto the walls here. So he places a couple walls in front of him here, and then he places a floor and doubles here. So the point of this that he's got here is that these walls protect him for if this player tries to edit through this cone. So the player is inside this box below here, and if he wants to edit up, he'll be blocked by this wall. Same with this one here. This floor is to stand on, and then he's placing a floor and a cone here, so he has double control. So right now, the other player is in the box down below. So I put the nameplates on. You can see he's sitting in the box there. If he was to sit on an edit here and do like a peanut butter edit, so like you can see he's got his build out, so he's obviously trying to do all right, like a top 3 tile edit here, where he'd be able to see through, which should give him a nice right-hand peek. Then he can't basically do anything because Harry's already blocked this. So if you notice, he'll double edit through here. So he double edits through and places a cone to work with, and then pickaxes, and then he just holds his shotgun out. So the reason for this, the double edits that he's done here on the floor and the cone, means that if this player inside edits, he can't place a floor or a cone to block a potential shot. So basically what he's done there is he's sitting and just waiting for this player to edit. So he's waiting for the other player to make a mistake. He's not like being super aggressive. He's just pickaxed once, and then he's trying to bait the other player to make an edit where Harry can then shoot him. Now, obviously, because he's on bad ping, he's tried to replace this wall and fails. So he edits this cone up, to make sure that this player edits through. He can't do anything. And then he's resetted it because he's expecting this player to edit again. So basically, all of the things he's done so far is just trying to bait out this other player to make an edit. And then he can shoot him. Obviously, he didn't in that scenario. Now, if you'll notice, the one thing he's not done here, so all the builds he could potentially place between him and the opponent, the other guy has this wall, whereas Hari has the floor, the cone, and this cone below. But he's intentionally missing this wall here. And that's because he's waiting for this player to take a shot. So if this player, like I said, does edit here and goes for a shot, Hari can shoot him and then simply place the wall here to block any shots. As you see, he actually ended up doing that, but unfortunately didn't get any damage. So he went to pickaxe, didn't get the wall, edit the cone, tried to bait it out with a reset, and then shot, and then placed the wall here to protect himself. So he's basically just repeatedly trying to get the other player to make an edit so that he can shoot him and get damage. Because again, both these players are 100 HP or 200 HP, so there's no like damage advantage that he has from here. And that's kind of the goal. We want to get as much like an HP advantage as possible. So they've traded both 32s now. And now because this other player has reset the wall, so he's reset the wall and then edited this cone, what that'll do is this metal wall here will be almost no HP whatsoever. So you see how he ran straight up and he just pickaxed in and double pickaxe through. Now he thought he'd be able to pickaxe through the cone, but it wouldn't also break there. Then he slides back out. And now this, because he's in the builds, and this is a nice right-hand peek, as we mentioned earlier for him here, right? You'll see he'll be able to see this opponent before he pops out first. And this is a horrible peek for this guy. As you can see, wait until he appears. Now you can see him here, and this guy can't even nail him. Harry's so far around the corner for him. So because he ran in, this baited the other player out. And remember, the other player can edit out the other side because he's got this cone that he placed there earlier. That baits him out. And unfortunately, Hari actually didn't realize that player was going to run out. He placed the wall instead of taking a shot and then placing the wall, which he probably should have done there. This kind of makes the other player run round. But he baits him out again. The other player ran back round, and now he's circled back into this again. And now it's just a movement option, right? Just all about fighting each other on the movement. So 50% speed, this is all about just baiting out the other player. From all the stuff we saw earlier, he just has his pump shotgun out. He's just waiting. You can call him Pump Out Paul, right? He's just got his shotgun out, always trying to predict the other person. He's always trying to make them bait to get a shot out. Unfortunately, the timing there wasn't perfect. Runs round, has the shotgun out, misses, hits the 140 because he's on the better peak, and then kills him. Now, if you notice how easy it was for the other player to track him because he was kind of approaching on this right-hand peak, notice how difficult it is for Vendetta to track Hari as he's doing this, right? He gets hit by the shot, he sees him coming in, and now he's on this wall, which is awkward. He tries to bait it, can't see him, doesn't get the wall because that's what Hari got. He tries to run back to that angle and look, so difficult to track and hit him. He has to peek around that left, hits the minimum because of it, and then dies. Obviously, the pistol tracking went strong. He almost managed to kill him. It wasn't a perfect fight by any means. But hopefully you get the idea where Hari is consistently trying to bait out that other player to take a shot. And because he's got the high ping, he's got no option to take a wall. So that's pretty much the best play you can make. Wait for them to make a mistake. This is also another really nice fight where this Limmy Jimmy here gets beamed. He sees him get shot, and he sees him box up and tarp. Hari knows that he's weak. So what he does is he slides and sprays and tries to break into the box. So basically what he's doing here is he left that wall weak. What he attempted to do was slide and break it at the exact time and get into the box, pull out a shotgun and hit a shot. Unfortunately, he timed it wrong. It is kind of difficult on high ping. So he sits and waits. You notice every single time he either hits the wall and then he's just sitting with his pump out, aiming at the other player and waiting. So he tries to pickaxe in and then notices the other guy's got the wall between. So he's not going to be able to get that. So he jumps up and places a wall here and then edits through. Now, the idea here is that Limmy was going to edit up and out here. So up into this box right where Hari's standing. But he doesn't, and Hari accidentally falls off, and Limmy goes round to this side. So all he does here is just jumps around the side, places a wall, and then a cone. This is one of the most valuable things you could possibly do and learn in Fortnite, is to jump, or you don't even need to jump, just land somewhere by placing a wall and then landing on a cone. Because this means that if this guy edits out, he can't cone you, he can't ramp. That means you've got the edit control on this and on this, so you can do whatever it is. So he just grabbed the piece, edited through, and then got the nice shot onto him as well. Notice another thing here is that he did, as he edited through there, kind of... Let me actually just show you rather than talking about it. So here he sees the players boxed up here, and the idea to sprint round to this side is because this guy's already going backwards, right? He's going to either... He's not going to make a box towards you. He's not going to edit out and just full box you because he's weak, and this guy's obviously trying to run away. So he decides to sprint jump round this side, as you can see. He sprints. He's keeping his eye on him, so he sees what he's doing. The guy's going into the wall here, so he's managed to grab this wall. Then he places the cone underneath. And notice, he doesn't try and do anything crazy in here. He just edits through. And he places like a wall to the side here to make sure this guy doesn't get out. But he's not trying to place like full box, a cone up above. He's not spending all the time to do like a crazy amount of piece. He just places one wall where he thinks that guy might exit. And then takes a shot. Takes his time. There you go. All right, I've switched up to watching Frank Castle. aka Cade. And this is a really good example of selecting people's builds. So as you notice, wood sucks. You know, if you're new to Wkeying, maybe not that good of a build player, it only takes 2 pickaxes to swing through wood. However, if he just drops onto the wall, the other player's going to know he's there, so he's going to have a lot of like no time to pickaxe through. By the time he tries to pickaxe through, the other player is just going to hold the wall and he's not going to get in. Remember, he's on high ping. He's not very good at wall replacing, let's say. Let's put that in your example. So what he does here is he just crouches and drops, and as he's dropping, he swings. And he double swings. He doesn't try to replace, he just walks straight through. It's a shot, backs out, does some funky stuff with the middle window, and then gets the kill. So it's simple. He spots the player, drops, pickaxe, in, pump, walks back, hits the ramp and the wall, middle window, and then has the nice right-hand peek and kills him. This is another really good example as he opens with a big beam, like 130 damage here. Hits a crash pad and flies over his head. So as he pickaxes through here, you'll notice this guy's created 2 boxes to start with. Of course, he has the one back here and then the one here, which is what most people will do. So he's noticed that there's no cone or walls inside of this player's box, which is a massive mistake. From this angle, so because this guy's in this back box here, he can't actually hold this wall. If you imagine your Cray, I imagine this guy's name is, this wall here, you cannot possibly hold. So if you see from his perspective here, he can't possibly hold this wall from the angle he's at, because he'll place this wall instead just based on the way he's looking, or actually maybe be this wall to his right just based on the angle he's at right now. So from Cade's POV, when he double pickaxes in, he can just walk straight through. Double pickaxes and he's in, and he grabs this wall here. You notice he grabs the wall that's right between in the middle, so it cuts off both boxes. So basically both these boxes are useless. However, he spotted that this guy has a ramp here, so rather than editing through and double pickaxing through this, which a lot of players end up doing, he ends up going out into the left. So you see he's walked to the left around the side to pickaxe this wall. And this is because this player might edit out this wall, and even if he doesn't, he's probably going to double edit out the top here. So by pickaxing the ramp, all that's going to happen is this player's going to have time to escape. Whereas by going around the side here, he can A, pickaxe in as he does here, and then just kill him. Doesn't go for the wall replace, just literally pickaxes in and then pumps. B, he doesn't have to get through this metal ramp, turn around and try and hit him. So this fight's super duper simple. Opens up with a really good beam, crash pads to get to the other side as the other player creates a 2x1, pickaxes in, places a wall, switches around, and then manages to get the kill. Now, something that's really important is that he gets 3 elims in a row. He literally does not shoot them at all with his shotgun. He does nothing mechanical. He just beams them with the AR, kills them out of the sky. Here's the second one here. As you see, another player flying through the sky. He's got 120 HP. This guy's just standing still like an NPC. He triple dinks. And that guy tries to crash pad away, gets the free kill. And then there's a player over here as well, not to the real Peterbot. Unsurprisingly, you'll see this player is absolutely not the real Peterbot. Is that guy just totally standing still? He is standing still, but gets a 3rd kill on that. And the reason I say this is because one of the most important and underlooked aspects of fighting is the fact that if you open a fight with a big AR beam to start with, once that other player has to be defensive then because they're weak, that's when you have the real advantage. If you're starting 50-50, you have to do what Hari was doing earlier, and that's play very slow, wait for a peak, wait for an advantage. But for the most part, if you start off by lurking and get a huge beam like this, that allows you then to play aggressive as the other player plays defensive. So you've always got to think about fighting in 2 states. There's an aggressor and there's a defensor. Defensor, there's got to be a better word for that. There's one aggressive player and then there's one defensive player. If both players have 200 HP, for the most part, you're both aggressing. What you want to do is turn every fight into the fact that you are the aggressor and they are the defender. Because unless you're an insanely good defensive box fighter, which most people are not, you're going to be at a disadvantage by playing defensively because you can't make as many plays. And the easiest way to become the aggressor in the fight is to get the health advantage and force them to play defensively and box up. And as I skip, he's going to get another kill out of this guy. There you go. I mean, he is on controller, so this gun is insanely good on controller. But again, that's like 4 elims in a row that he got. You know, if he didn't have good assault rifle aim, he would have got way less. Or if those players just weren't AFK. And look, he's a great example of this. He beams this guy down to 50 HP as the crash pad. Flies over. Yeah, again, similar scenario. This guy's a 2x1. And what does he do? He runs down and he doesn't pickaxe this left wall. This is the one with the other players on. He instead wraps round to the right and then just double pickaxes this one. And because he's walked past this wall, this guy thinks he can have the edit here. So he thinks he could just edit control on this wall. But instead, he just double pickaxes in and then goes for the free kill. So this is another good example of just opening the fight. He is now the aggressor. Charlie is now the defensive player in this fight. He can wrap round very simply, chooses the right wall, pickaxes in, and then gets the elim. So another thing I want to talk about in relation to that exact example is what to do when players do create a 2x1 and why this wall here, that's on this side, and then this wall around here are actually so good to start approaching. So it's all about the right-hand peaks and the way that you bait opponents out. So in that scenario, he ran past this wall, and double pickaxed in here. Now the wall was slightly weaker, so it took 2 pickaxes to break. And this opponent in here had placed this. So remember the first example, there wasn't a wall in there at all. And what he did was when the opponent was in the box, he just broke through and did that, where he placed a wall on this inside. Now again, if you're ever boxing up defensively, you got to place cones and you got to place a wall in there too. But in this instance, in the second example where he came from this direction and then double pickaxed in, the player inside the box had already edited the wall like this as well. So there was a wall in there. So when he broke through, this was already weak. So had they reset it, it would have been pickaxeable once again. So one of the reasons this is so good for these angles here is if you approach this wall, you always bait them out. They always try to come through this wall, and you can place the wall this side, block it, and then you can ramp phase in here if you want. And if they've reset this wall, which they very often do, as I just mentioned there, because they want to keep away from you, then you can pickaxe it once and replace it too. If you end up approaching this wall, so if you're attacking from the short side, we could say from this side, the other player inside the box here, sure, you've got like a right hand peak, they can just back up here, and then they have this really good angle onto you like this, or they can sit on a peak like this and maybe do like an edit on here. Oh my god, I can't do it. Oh my god, I'm so bad. There you go. They can set up something like this and then shoot you around here, and it's really difficult for you to actually aggress. However, if you already said, if you mentioned if you attack this wall here, you're cutting off this left box from them. And if you replace it, they might retreat back into this box, but they'll have reset the wall, and yet again, it'll be weak. So if they're in here and you've replaced this wall and they've reset it, it's then easier to replace and then go for a shot. And look at the right-hand peak you have onto this box as well. Notice because I'm on this kind of angle here, I've replaced this wall. Or if I'm here, I have a right-hand peak onto this wall as well. So whenever you're attacking a box, kind of similar to Cade was too, this wall is bad, this wall is good. If I'm approaching from the other side, this wall bad, this wall very, very good. Similar thing could be said about the end. Like if I'm going to start pickaxing onto a wall here, and I do this, like the other player's just going to go back over here and reset. Or he'll edit a cone, place a ramp, and then I'm going to have to sit and spend time to do this. And, oh, I have to take this wall, and then I have to come up. You know, you have to spend so much time to actually end up pressuring them. So one of the first things you want to do is make sure that you can approach the far wall, the long wall. I don't know what I'll call this strategy. Also, if there's any of the mechanics you want to practice, search resub, you can find the training hub map. All the stuff you can practice will all be in there. And favorite it and stuff, you know that. I do now realize I explained the off spawn bit earlier really badly. The way I want to word this is if you land close to someone and you get a gun, you can instantly push them, get a free kill. If you're far away and you don't have a shotgun, you might as well wait until you get a shotgun. Hope that makes a little bit more sense. It's not always black and white like that. There's obviously way more complicated scenarios, but still. So now Scroll is running around doing some mechanical stuff in this fight, but there's one thing that I really want to expand upon, and that's the weak wall resets. So here he's beamed him, right? This player's literally 1 HP doing nothing. He's got barely builds, barely any heals left, so this guy's super panicking, right? So all Scroll does is he walks to the left. Now, walking to the left, I've covered in a lot of videos, is incredibly important because if this player makes like a peanut butter peek, you're walking to the left, so you can actually expose them from hiding behind it. So walking to the left in this scenario is good. As he does that, he's reloading. So see what I mean by this is as he's walking to the left, the head of the other player is already popping out here. So had he just been standing here and just waiting on the wall, the other player could have done a safe peek, but he's not. But now as this other player has done this edit, he's getting a little greedy. He's trying to be fast and mechanical. Scroll can pump and then just spray through. Just literally wait for him to edit it and then just sprays through. Because the other player's weak, you're almost guaranteed to get the kill. So here Scroll managed to hit this guy white out the sky. So he chases him with the wingsuit. And he does a lot of really nice angle swapping and kind of baiting out, making this other player just honestly very, very confused. So he's in a wood 1x1. So to start with, if you're defensive, if you're hit and you build up in a wood 1x1, you've already lost the fight. Because this is weak and other players can box up. Use some hard mats. Now he's got 95 builds. So this is just greedy not doing this. You want to create a 2x1, maybe even more out of just brick or metal once you've been cracked as much, because your game can just end, and then what's the point in saving all those extra materials? The Scroll here lands, slides round to the back as this player is boxing, and as I noticed, he comes over the top and just tries to claim. He tries to spam builds, do whatever he can, immediately dropping down to the side to try and break in. So because the guy's weak, he tried to angle swap and then break straight into the wall before the guy could predict it. And if you notice through this, he's continually swapping angles. So he's walking, pickaxe in the top, places a ramp there, and I guarantee this guy then looks, so he's looked that direction because that ramp's been placed there. So this guy now thinks, oh, he's gonna drop down on there. So he's gonna, I'm gonna be able to, what am I trying to say? He's gonna edit through or pickaxe through this wall, so he tries to edit the cone. But he's already angle swapped, and now he comes back to this and he pickaxes. There's, you know, that guy tries to go for a play. He jumps over the top, jumps, pickaxes twice, replaces, guy's gone. Angle swaps, drops down to the left. This guy edits, he hits a shot because he's walking to the left, as I mentioned earlier. You see the bait there again? So he took this wall, sprint down the side, As he was walking to the left here, as we talked about earlier. I mean, this guy does a bad peek because he does like a top left. Had he made a top right, it would have been the same. He places pump out. Gets a big shot. And now he tries to replace the wall, and he can't. Obviously, because he's on high ping. So all these players that I've mentioned, they are EU playing on NA. So he jumps up, and this will make the other player think that he's going to edit, like go a different angle, right? Because he's built up and away. And then he edits back down. And then he pickaxes. And he doesn't, I was going to say he gets in. He doesn't actually get in. But this guy's now got 2 layers of builds, kind of similar to before. So yet again, scroll angle swaps. Now he goes for the wall replace, but again, he's bad ping. I was going to say he's bad ping, so you can't get it, but that guy was throwing the splash. So because he's continually changing angles that he's pressuring here, pickaxing, always trying to be safe, right? He's not like doing anything stupid. He's just repeatedly changing angles and pressuring this player. He gives the other player absolutely 0 time to heal whatsoever, and they ended up panicking at the end there and throwing a splash where he was able to get the kill. So continual angle swapping, something that you don't need good mechanics for. You just need to learn how to continually take out your pickaxe and walk around hitting pickaxes, trying to bait them out. So the best way to practice this, I was going to say I found, but I made. That's probably the easier way to, or we made. If you go into wall replace, and there's box wall replace in here. So as you notice, there's a box with a bot inside of it. And you can kill him. And once you kill him, the sequence resets. So what you can actually do is you can just do exactly what he was doing here. And always go for different angles, wall replaces. Try and bait out stuff like this. And basically get practice on moving around and just using your pickaxe, right? There's not anything like super mechanical here. Just jumping, trying to switch up angles and do all this kind of different stuff as well. And I hit the minimum, of course. What's important while you're doing this is that you leave walls weak, because this makes players panic, right? So if I pickaxe this wall and then come back to this one, for example, and go for the wall replace, I mess up the edit. Or if I'm, say jumping down here and I hit pickaxe this and then jump back up and then go for the cone instead, and then I place a ramp here. Obviously, they think I'm going to go for this, but instead I can go back for this weak wall that's here. So what's really important, it's funny I'm saying it's important because I actually don't have it bound, is that when you're playing defensively, you learn how to heal up your walls. So in the binds, you can see I've got repair/upgrade. So you should have that bound. Now that I've just realized I don't have it bound, that's funny. But anytime you someone pickaxes your wall, it'll be weak. So this wood wall is now 1 pickaxeable. If you're playing defensive, it very much so counters that strategy if you just heal it up like this, as you can see. So I've just bound that to T there. So if someone was to like try and pickaxe my wall and run away, I could just quickly bind it as I was trying to hold it here, for example, so that then when they kind of came back to this wall later, once I let it heal back up after that edit reset, the aggressive player then might drop down and pickaxe expecting it to break, but I've actually just healed it. So another good point is if you're being very aggressive onto a player, say you're trying to take a wall like this, or you're doing this and you do this and you hear them heal up their wall, they're probably a good player. Like if you hear this sound, they're probably not a bad player, because there's not very many like very, very casual bad players who will actually have the awareness to, once you weaken their wall, to then heal up. Now, wall replacing itself is very important. I've not actually talked a lot about it in this video because all the examples have been high ping. But if you come into this diagonal wall place, as an example, the wall's already 1 hit, so there's 75. They'll break to a single pickaxe. If you turn the peak mode on, you can get really good at, obviously if I do this, you'll see I get hit. There's like an instant hit marker there, where if I do it wrong. So you can practice actually making like good edits and try not to get hit here and trying to swing around. So this is actually a really good way to end up actually like practicing good muscle memory and good peaks. Another thing I would suggest is that as you're doing this, you switch back, learn the muscle memory to switch back to your shotgun. I've talked about this quite a lot. So you press shotgun before you edit and then go. So here, bang. So the muscle memory here is take out pickaxe, swing, press down wall, press down the cone. For example, this places a cone here. You can then place the cone in. It depends on which way you want to do it. Pull out your shotgun. You can place the cone in afterwards. Or you can just not even bother with the cone. It depends which way you want to do it. It depends like where who's in the box, the scenario. But you should practice both things, where you're replacing the wall and then placing the cone here, because that gives you something to stand on so you can't get like wall replaced. And you should also practice actually sliding the cone in at the same time like this, which is just simply pickaxe, cone, wall, and then shotgun. Probably the most useful. If you're not a very mechanical player, I would also very much so suggest doing a lot of window edits and then sliding into them to the right. That's the whole reason this scenario is set up on a right-hand peak, is so you can practice this exact thing. All right, hopefully these tips have been very useful to learn how to Wkey as a beginner. Hopefully there's also some useful stuff in here if you're also more of an intermediate player as well. If you want to check out the map, it's here. You can practice all this stuff as I've already mentioned. Like the video, subscribe, use code RESET in the item shop. Peace.